I never imagined that running into Emma again would feel like stepping back into a life I thought I had left behind forever. My name is Caleb. I'm 39, and I thought I had moved on after everything that happened years ago. But seeing her yesterday at the cafe, smiling with that little boy in her arms, all the old emotions I had buried came rushing back. I met Emma when I was 25. She had this infectious energy, like a room lit up whenever she walked in. I had just started my first real job as a project manager in a construction firm, living alone in a modest apartment in Charleston. Emma was working at a boutique bookstore downtown. We met through a mutual friend, and from that first night, I felt like I had known her forever. We stayed up talking until sunrise, laughing at each other's jokes, sharing dreams about our future. I never believed in love at first sight, but with her, it felt inevitable. Our relationship was intense. We moved in together within a year, and everything seemed perfect. Friends envied us, claiming we were the perfect couple, and for a while, I believed it. But then, somewhere after the second year, cracks started appearing. At first, they were subtle. She'd cancel plans last minute, spend more time at work than necessary, and text more than call. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she was stressed. Maybe life was just demanding. I convinced myself that if I just gave her space and stayed supportive, things would get better. Then the unthinkable happened. Emma told me she needed time apart. She said it wasn't me, that I was too good to blame, but that she had met someone else. My heart broke in a way that felt almost physical. I remember sitting on our couch, silent, while she explained everything. She had fallen for a man she met at a charity event, someone she said made her feel alive in ways she couldn't explain with me. She packed her things over that weekend and left, and by Monday, she was gone. I was left in that apartment, staring at the half-empty boxes, trying to convince myself that I wasn't losing her completely, that maybe this was temporary. I struggled for months. Work became my refuge, but no matter how many hours I put in, nothing could fill the emptiness she left behind. Friends tried to console me, saying she wasn't worth it, but the truth was, I couldn't just erase the years we had shared. The betrayal wasn't just about leaving. It was about how she chose someone else while I had been faithful, committed, and ready to build a life with her. Time passed. I met someone else, Lila, about 3 years later. She was kind, patient, and never compared me to anyone. With her, I found stability, a quiet kind of happiness I had never had with Emma. We got married, moved into a small house in Richmond, and for a while, I thought the past was behind me. I even allowed myself to believe that I had forgiven Emma in some abstract way, though in truth, I didn't even want to think about her. She became a distant, uncomfortable memory tucked away in the corners of my mind. Then yesterday happened. I went into a small cafe downtown to grab a coffee before work, and there she was. Emma, laughing, holding a boy of about 5 years old. The resemblance was unmistakable, the same sharp eyes, the mischievous smile. It hit me instantly. I was frozen for a few seconds, unsure whether to leave or stay, but something kept me in place. She noticed me almost immediately, and I could see the flicker of recognition, quickly replaced with polite composure. We exchanged greetings. Her voice had the same melody I remembered, but it was softer now, worn by years I had never shared with her. She introduced me to the boy, Owen, her son. That was the moment the story of our past collided violently with my present. I realized in an instant that this little boy was the result of what she had chosen over me. The man she left me for, the one she ran away with, had given her a child, and she had built a life I had no part in. I forced a smile, nodded, and made small talk, but inside, everything was churning. How had she moved on so completely, so effortlessly? How had I been left to pick up the pieces while she created a world that I couldn't touch, a family that I couldn't be a part of? I wanted to ask questions, demand explanations, to make her feel even a fraction of the hurt I carried for all those years, but the words stuck in my throat. Then, in that short encounter, I noticed something else. Emma's eyes, though warm, had this subtle tension. The mothering smile for Owen was perfect, but there was a faint trace of something unresolved when she looked at me, a hesitation, a shadow of the guilt I imagined she might feel. I realized then that while she had moved on in action, perhaps she hadn't entirely escaped the consequences of the choices she made. I felt a strange mix of vindication and sorrow. The encounter lasted less than 10 minutes. I watched them leave the cafe, walking together, Owen holding her hand, laughing at something only she knew how to make him laugh at. And then, as they disappeared from view, I felt a weight lift off my chest. Not because I had closure, not because I had forgiven, but because I realized something crucial. My life was still mine. I had built a life filled with love and respect with Lila. I had grown stronger, wiser, and more resilient than the person I was when Emma left. It struck me that Emma's decisions, the abandonment, the betrayal, had shaped me in ways I hadn't fully acknowledged. I had been broken, yes, but I had also been tempered. I had learned my own worth, my own boundaries, and the unspoken power of moving forward with dignity. The contrast between the life she chose and the life I had built was stark, and in that contrast, I found clarity. As I walked out of the cafe, I thought about Owen. He was a living reminder of a chapter one didn't write, of a bond one could never reclaim. And yet, I didn't feel anger anymore, not the burning, destructive kind. It was a quiet acknowledgement that some stories weren't meant for me, and that's okay. I had my own story, one where I was respected, loved, and cherished every day. Seeing Emma again didn't break me. It reminded me of what I had survived, of the patience, the loyalty, and the love I had offered without compromise. And while I would always carry the memory of what she had taken from me, I also carried something far greater, the knowledge that I had not lost myself in the process. I had endured. I had grown. And that, I realized, was more powerful than anything she had built with someone else. By the time I reached my car, the sun was low in the sky. I could still feel the remnants of old hurt, but mingled with it was a strange sense of peace. Emma had made her choice. I had made mine long ago. And in that quiet, unspoken separation, I finally understood that life moves forward for those willing to claim it, even when the past shows up unexpectedly, smiling with a child in her arms. I drove home slowly, letting the memories ebb and flow without letting them define me. For the first time in years, I felt whole, not because the past had been rewritten, but because I had refused to let it dictate my present. And somewhere deep down, I knew that no matter what she had built or who she had become, she could never take the man I had become. I was Caleb, I was strong, and I was free.